is it today? Thursday? Happy Thursday. Linda, the Melanated Way, you guys. Woo, I finally made it through the single life. I didn't think I was going to make it through all the episodes and the tell-alls and all of that stuff. Thanks for being here, you guys. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping first and foremost, and then we'll just jump into the juicy tell-all. It was one of the better ones, I have to say. It was definitely one of the better ones. The second best one, besides the one that leaked, the 10-hour one that leaked. Hey, Claire. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So let's do some housekeeping, guys. We are expanding. You guys have so many. I hate keeping secrets. I have like the biggest secret that I've been keeping, and it's almost time to tell you guys. It's not quite time to tell you, but it's just been a busy week, and I'm excited for all the new and great content that we have coming forward. In order to do that, support the show wherever you're watching. If you could just hit that thumbs up and like, subscribe, that'd be great. And support the show at the bottom of your seats. Okay, let me just try to talk like a regular person. At the bottom of your screen, you can see all the ways that you can support me. Everything helps. I want to shout out my Patreon subscribers because without you, these shows wouldn't happen. So Olivia, Vanessa, Trisha, Sandra, Carol, Trina, Danielle, Rebecca, Marianne, Nia, Raydella, Linda, Brianna, Crystal. Crystal's in Hawaii right now. Nicole, Amanda, Jaleesa, Donna over at Anchor FM. Chandra, Judy, and Beth, I appreciate your support. You guys make this show possible. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into this whole debacle of part 2 of the Single Life Tell-All. We had the Brittany fiasco. So just like catching up, Ed and Liz broke up. Terrence doesn't know where Brittany is. They finally get Brittany on the phone. And she didn't like her accommodations. She didn't like her. The hairstylist didn't know how to do her hair. Which, you guys, I'll give her that. Like, I'm on the fence. How do you guys feel about it? I'm on the fence because Black girl's hair is a different texture, right? And you have to have someone that knows how to do your hair. So I get that. And you don't want to come on a national, international show looking all crazy, right? So there's that part. But then she's in New York City. And New York City has a ton of hairdressers that are world class, right? Because it's like LA where, you know, it's the East Coast Hollywood as far as I'm concerned. So if she wanted to, she could have made that type of arrangement. But I think like Molly said, there had to have been more to it. Like it can't just be like you didn't like your accommodations because you're in New York City. And, you know, Times Square specifically, that's all they do. They cater to tourists. So it's not like you're at some, you know, random motel. They've put you up in a nice place. So I don't know what she was saying so much about her accommodations. And as far as the hairstyle and hairstylist, I think that she could have made other options had she chosen to do so. But I think that she was just like not feeling it. I think she thought that the tell-all was going to make her look bad somehow, some way. And I think that she thought, excuse me 1 second, you guys. All right, there we go. I think that she thought that, you know, she already had problems with the last tell-all and the whole making her look bad and, you know, angry Black woman, that whole thing. So I think that she just opted out and didn't really have like the reason, but she felt like, hey, I don't want to be here for whatever reason. So what do you guys think? Why do you guys think that Brittany didn't really show up at the tell-all besides the hair problem and the accommodations problem? So when she goes back to Houston, and they finally get her on the phone, and she's like, yeah, listen, I'm still recovering from surgery, and I didn't have my hair done. It was all about my hair. And so I had to come back. But meanwhile, she was like totally glammed up. Like she looked amazing. Probably the best I've ever seen her look. Hair done. She had a nice outfit on, you know, tatas popping, the whole 9 yards. So it wasn't like from the time you landed the night before, because she got there at 11 to the morning, it's not a lot of time, right? So if she got there 11 p.m. East Coast time, and then she flew back to Houston, and then they filmed the tell-all the next morning. Like, how did you get back to Houston, get your hair done, get all glammed up, and then say that, oh, this was definitely spontaneous. It wasn't planned because I got ready to go grocery shopping. Listen, you guys, I don't know if you've ever seen me grocery shopping, but it doesn't look like that. It definitely doesn't look like that. And that's maybe why, because you know what they say with single people? Like, you meet people at the gym, you meet people at the market, the grocery store. Maybe I'm missing out. Perhaps I should be getting glammed up to go get my groceries. Maybe she's onto something that works, because something. Right, Patty? Patty's like, right? I don't know. So they're talking to her a little bit, and Kelly and Liz are complaining about Brittany, saying that she's being rude, and this is just rude. And I have to tell you, I was a little bit irritated by that. I was a little bit irritated that the side cast members were being the most vocal. Like, Kelly, you've been on the show for 5 seconds. Liz, same thing, 5 seconds. And then all of a sudden, you have the most to say, and you're irritated by a cast member that's been on plenty of seasons. You need to calm down. And I don't want to say learn your place, but I don't need to know your every single opinion. Kelly's this is BS, and Liz is let's get them off the phone. This is irritating, and it's so rude. Okay, but who are you two? If anyone should be irritated, it's the actual regular cast members. You two are doing the most and saying the most. So anyways, that happened. And then we talk a little bit about Terrence and her relationship. And she says that she's not ghosting Terrence. And she says that Terrence really is never there for her. He chooses himself over her all the time. Wasn't there for her surgery, wasn't there for her birthday. She'll text him, won't hear back for a day or so. She'll call him and he seems uninterested. Well, he's uninterested because we all know that you've ghosted him 2-3 times. So at what point is he going to be hey, yeah, I'm excited to hear from you? Because he doesn't know if you're here or there every time, because he doesn't hear from you sometimes. And then he hears from you when you want to reach out. So I get where it's confusing, and I get where I don't think these two are on the same page, you guys. I don't think that they're on the same page in what they want in a relationship. And now they also have the distance, right? Because they're not in the same city. So I think it's all just a mess. They should both just walk away and keep it pushing, right? So she says that Terrence tends to be cold towards her, and he wasn't there for her. Molly starts getting mad. She's like, you've really disrespected all of us here. It was rude of you and disrespectful of you not to communicate. You weren't coming. We all got up super early and we're waiting around for you, and you don't communicate that you're not coming. So we all have to sit around and waste our time. And she has a valid point. Everyone's time is valuable. And if anyone has been on any type of production, it's a lot of hurry up and wait, right? So especially when they can't find the cast members, you're all going to just be sitting there, and your time is just as valuable as the next person and the next person and the next person. So I do think that if Brittany said, hey, she woke up or at 11 when she got there and decided that she was going to turn around and go home, she should have told someone. She should have told her producer, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I think I'm going to bow out. I'm sorry. And off I go. But to not just say anything to anyone is it is disrespectful to your fellow cast members. And, the 90-day cast, they're like family. So they do take things very, very personally. So I don't think you really want to make enemies with cast members, especially because, you might see them in another season, another tell-all, all of that stuff. And you're making enemies left, right, and center. It doesn't make sense. So Colt tells Sean to hang up the effing phone. And Fernanda's like, why are we even investing any time listening to her? And Brittany tries to defend herself and say, there's a lot of issues that you guys don't know about that are happening behind the scenes that, yeah, it's this stuff that I'm saying it is, but it's also some behind the scenes stuff, which we already know that she's been having some issues with the production, right? And we know that from when she fell off the ATV. We know that when she went to visit Yazan. So there has been some stuff. Hey Amanda, hey girl, hey. There has been some stuff in the past, so I think it's just all boiling up for her. So I'll be surprised, you guys, if we see Brittany again in a new season. Like, I'll be really surprised if she continues to move forward with the franchise, but we'll see. Everyone feels like at the end of the day, there's no room for a diva. And Molly says it can't just be about your hair. And Fernanda is mad, and the rest of the cast is mad too. So they basically hang up the phone. And my personal take, like I said, Terrence leaves, but I think that it should just be over with them. I think we're not going to see Terrence ever again either, because him and Brittany, I don't think that they're a match. I don't think that they're on the same page in what they want in relationships. And I do think that Brittany has some healing to do. And I think that she has some honesty to deal with. And when I say that, I mean, I think that she has some honesty in her own life to deal with before she's going to be able to give herself fully to a relationship. So what does that look like? I always tell you guys, heal yourself. You can't be broken and think that you're going to have a full and productive relationship. It's not going to work. You have to come to the table 100%. And even if you're not 100%, you're working towards being 100% in order for your relationship to be full and healthy. Then we get Jess and Brian, and that was just, you guys, it was just a shit show. The first 10 minutes when they came out and it was all crazy. So even before they came out, Jess and Brian are in the back in the green room calling Vanessa a bitch, and that she needs to learn to respect women and she needs to know about the girl code. And Brian wants to call on Colt and Vanessa for their lies. And Debbie is on her couch or on her chair, and under her breath she's saying, "Son of a bitch, they're here." A lot of hatred in all these camps. So the Debbie camp, the Vanessa and Colt camp, and then the Jess and Brian camp. So they come out, and Jess is decked out. This is the first time she's probably seen Colt since she married Brian. I have some feelings about Brian. I want to know what y'all think. Let me know in the live chat what you guys think about Brian, because I have mixed feelings about that guy. So Debbie wants to know if Jess is actually over Colt, and she feels like Jess will do anything for money. And then Jess is like, "Just shut up," and then F you. And then Brian tells her F you. And then Debbie's like, "I can stare at you all day," and F you. So there's just a lot of tension, right? And they all hate each other. And Debbie says that they hate each other, and that's why there's so much animosity. And Sean wants to know, why do you hate her so much? And then Debbie says it's because she used her sexuality to seduce Colt because she wanted a green card. Okay, let's just talk about that for a minute. You're saying to me that Jess seduced Colt to get a green card, but Colt was the one that went to Brazil to meet her family and asked behind Debbie's back for permission to marry her. So what part was she using to seduce? And then the second thing that I thought was interesting is that if you want to talk about using your sexuality, let's talk about Vanessa. Vanessa was in a full-on marriage and she was still fucking around with Colt. So what? You can't blame one girl for doing the same thing that the other chick did too. It's very confusing. Amanda said, "I'm thinking maybe it's a crime to be married to him, LOL." And then Brian got petty, and Brian says to Debbie, "So when Colt sends his little dick pictures to 10 other women, is that considered cheating?" What I thought was funny and laughed about it, Colt didn't make a comment about the little comment, and neither did Debbie. Debbie said, "Yeah, it is cheating. He did cheat on Jess because he didn't care about her. He never cheated on Larissa because he loved Larissa." And this Colt and Vanessa situation, I don't know, you guys. I feel like they're a great match. I feel like they know everything about each other. But what we do learn in his tell-all is that she lied to all of us. And we knew she was lying, you guys. Do you remember their last tell-all? So Colt and Vanessa lied at the tell-all, and they did sleep together, and they lied about it. And they lied about it to Jess. They lied about it to Sean. They lied about it to us, the viewers and the fans, right? So They lied. They cheated. And I remember that specifically because I remember Vanessa got so mad. Do you guys remember that? And that she walked out because she was so mad because she said she never did that. And meanwhile, she was lying to all of us. Colt was lying to all of us. They were absolutely cheaters. And not only were they cheaters with each other, she was married. So she cheated on her husband. Colt cheated on Jess. And then they got together as cheaters, and now they're in a relationship together. And, you know, I don't know. Everyone always says, you know, your relationships end how they started. And so do you guys think like two cheaters can make a relationship work? Do you think that two cheaters can have a faithful, committed, monogamous relationship? Especially when one is a self-proclaimed liar, which we'll get to. So Deb says, it's not a big deal. He apologized. You guys should just move on. Brian tells her to shut the F up again. And then Sean confronts Vanessa about the lying, and she admits that she lied. She was covering up for Colt, she said. And she didn't apologize for lying. She just said, well, I met up with Jess later and I told her the truth. So it is what it is. And she even admits that she coddles Colt a little bit more, doesn't like it when Colt gets in trouble, and kind of backs up his lying, which I don't think is a good thing, you guys. Like, I get you two are together, you're going to support your partner, but when it's hurting other people, and when you guys are all trying to literally make the other girl look crazy and sound crazy, it's not a good look. So this whole time, you guys were trying to make it seem like Jess was this crazy Latina when she was not. She followed her gut, and she knew that you guys were lying, and she knew that you guys were cheating and that you were lying about it, and you guys were trying to make her feel terrible about it. At the very least, you can apologize to her, and you can apologize to Sean, and you can apologize to the viewers for being a bunch of liars. You're liars and cheaters. Just say that, because that tell-all was a little bit insulting to us as viewers, our intelligence. We knew that you guys were lying. And we knew by her reaction, getting so mad, that she was outed and she didn't know what to do on national TV. You know what you do? You own up to it. Maybe be the villain in that moment. Because now I think that you two are both just a bunch of liars and cheaters. How do I ever believe anything that you say? Because you just always lie, which, you know, let's talk about shortly. So after Sean confronts Vanessa, Ed jumps in and says, oh, this is really like a terrible way to start a relationship. And, you know, you're marrying someone that you say that you only trust 90%. And Jess is like, I would never marry someone that I didn't trust and believe 100%. I agree with her. You say that you trust him 90%. What about the 10%? And let's just say this, okay? So 90%. If there are 7 days in a week, you trust him 6 of those days. What's happening on that 7th day? Is he out cheating on you? Is he out talking to other girls? Is he out sending his dick pics to a bunch of people on social media? And is that going to make you crazy? Now, on his end, he knows that you were married and willing to sleep with him while you were married and your husband's at home. And I don't care, you guys. You listen to this. Listen to what I'm telling you right now. I don't give a shit if you're unhappy in your marriage. I really don't. If you're unhappy, you're an adult. Walk away. So when Vanessa talked about how she wasn't happy in her relationship, but she needed a reason to leave, and the reason she used was that she cheated so that she could go back home and tell her husband she cheated, that to me is 100% cop-out. It's a cop-out. And here's why it's a cop-out to me personally. If you are unhappy, no one's holding you hostage. Go ahead and wrap it up. Pack up your bags and leave. Just leave. But what you did is you're not happy, so you want to also make your partner unhappy, and you wanted to hurt him deliberately. So you went out and cheated, had a good old romp in the hay, and then went back and rubbed it in his face. And of course he's going to tell you to get out because he's hurt. And you did that maliciously and you did that purposely. And that to me is not okay. It's not okay. And so, although on the one hand, I say, you know what, these two know each other so well and they know each other's demons and secrets. I think that it is going to work, but they're always going to have that on the back of their mind that, hey, they're both cheaters and Colt is a self-proclaimed liar. So like, how do you ever make that healthy and happy and 100% trustworthy? How do you go from 90% to 100% when you guys are both cheaters and liars? G said on the 7th day he rested. That's hilarious. Patty says Colt is a psychological mess with missing empathy and conscience. Yeah, he's missing a lot of empathy. I agree with you. Like, this dude right here has zero cares in the world. It's all about him. So then we find out from Jess that after the breakup, Colt actually tried to get back together with her, and she was not impressed with that, and she called him out on it. And she said that Debbie and Vanessa need to learn about sisterhood. And I kind of agree with that. Like, there's a girl code, just like there's a guy code. And Vanessa was definitely not living her life by the girl code. She was living her life for herself and what made her happy in the moment. And she didn't care about anyone, you guys, anyone at all, Jess specifically. And even the female viewers who are watching her be a cheater and a liar on national TV. Like, yeah, I get that you want to be with this dude and you've wanted to be with this dude since before Jess. You were trying to get with him even when he was with Larissa. You've been the side chick for years. What does that say about you? So when Jess says, you know, you have to learn about sisterhood, listen, I'm right there with her. You need to learn about sisterhood because your sisters are going to be the ones that are there for you when this shit hits the fan. And they're not going to be there because you're not there for them. You lie. You lie, and you lie to their face. And you choose your happiness and your side chick status over anything else. It's bizarre. So, Liz and Kelly jump in again. And my note, you guys, is Liz and Kelly are irritating me. They had so much to say, and I needed them to say a little less because they were on for 5 seconds. So do you even know the full history and storyline of all of these cast members? Because I don't think you do. And for me to have to listen to your 2 cents over everyone else's was a bit irritating to me. So Colt lied, and Sean wants to know, hey, why did you lie to me? And he said, you know, he was ashamed. He couldn't come to terms with the things that he's done. He says that he has a bad habit of lying to people and that he shouldn't have dated Jess. And then he says he's a liar. And Sean wants to know if that's going to be a good base for a relationship. Because, you know, Vanessa cheated on her husband with Colt. You cheated on Jess with Vanessa. Like, is that a good foundation that you guys are building on? And here's the thing, you guys. Colt is saying not only is he a cheater, he's a liar, and he lies all the time, and he can't help himself because he doesn't like to confront the truth. So he would rather just lie, continually lie. And so Sean made a really good point. She said, so you just woke up one day and said you're going to stop lying? Like, what does that look like? What does that look like? You've been lying your whole life to everybody. And then now that you're with Vanessa, you're just going to stop lying. I personally find that hard to believe. I don't know what you guys think, but I just find that hard to believe. Like, if you've just always lied your whole life, even about little things, you meet this person and they make you a better person, even though that person's a liar too and a cheater too. How does that work? What does that look like? Amanda's like, I love that Sean was like, how could you do that to me? So I was also surprised by Danielle. So Danielle says that it was okay that Vanessa cheated because Vanessa was already out of her relationship in her mind. I don't agree with that at all. I think that you can use your words and you can communicate and say, hey, listen, I don't want to be in this anymore, and leave. I think that it is a deliberate, malicious move to cheat on somebody because you are being selfish. You're being deliberate in wanting to hurt that person because it is going to come out, you guys. Cheaters always get caught, but you're doing it purposely. You could easily, today's Thursday. Thursday, you can leave your partner, and Friday, go sleep with the person that you want to be with. No one gets cheated on. You've left. It's over. But to say, hey, I'll be right back. I'm going to the grocery store all dolled up. I'll see you tomorrow. And then go and cheat and then come back. And then some people admit it, some people don't. So she comes back and admits it. That's a malicious move. You're doing it to hurt the person. It's not okay with me. So like when Danielle was like, yeah, Jess is a rebound and it's okay Vanessa cheated. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to take any type of advice from you, Danielle, because as you guys know, it's been 7 years since her whole Muhammad breakup and she's still hung up on Muhammad. So I'm not sure if she's the right person to talk about relationships when she has her own healing to do and she has to get over some things her own damn self. But that's just my personal opinion. Ed talks about how cheating is not okay. And you guys, I'm really holding back on all my Ed thoughts because I feel like this tell-all was so revealing. It showed everyone who Ed really is. It, in my opinion, it totally did. And if you guys haven't seen our part 1 of our YouTube video, I highly recommend that you go back and check it out because I showed an interview that we did with Ed where Ed is like an actor. He can bring on the tears in 5 seconds, and he likes to make himself come across as the victim who's really just trying to better himself. And he's going to therapy, and he's learning so much about himself that he didn't know. And through therapy, he's going to find like, fuck you. You're such a master manipulator. If you aren't the king of gaslighting, I don't know what is. And if you guys didn't see that in this tell-all, I don't know what to tell you. But this dude right here, 100% made himself look terrible. And all the things that you've heard about him, in my opinion, are true. All of them. All down to the leaked tape where he was cussing out Liz. If you haven't heard that, it's on our 90 Day The Melanated Way page. Down to the fact that even in this tell-all, you guys, he not only hit on Fernanda and was like, yeah, I would love to be with Fernanda. And Fernanda's like, what, 24, 25? A young girl, and he's 54, 56, whatever he is. And then not only did he do that, he told Fernanda to go and tell her 26-year-old girlfriend / roommate that say hi because he thinks she's hot. Meanwhile, during the commercial breaks, you're gaslighting Liz, telling her that you miss her and like maybe you want to be with her and all you love her and all of this stuff. Shut up. And then just because I'm on a roll with it, you have to make a point to tell everyone on national TV that you broke up with her 7 times. Not like, hey, I'm the one that, like, people who do that are narcissistic. You need to tell everyone that you're the one that broke up with this person. And she's like begging. She looks so terrible by saying this, but begging to come back and work it out. And she loves you and wants to be with you. And every time she does that, it gives you more power to say, hey, no. Okay, I'll take you back. Okay, go away. I'll take you back. Okay, go away. You told the whole world that you did that 7 times and you feel good about that. And meanwhile, she's like begging to come back to you like you're the prize. It was very confusing to me. I was like, why are we making it so that Ed is the prize? That's part of his problem is his big ass head thinking that he is some shit when he's not. He thinks he's a celebrity. And you guys, I can back that up with receipts. I've seen plenty of his social media where people didn't know who he was, and he'll go on his live and be like, "Oh, to people watching, you guys, this guy doesn't know who I am. Can you tell him what celebrity I am?" A celebrity? What? Listen, okay, Ed. Okay. So then, Colt talks about how he doesn't care about Jess and Brian, doesn't care about his ex, doesn't care about her new husband. He loves his mom. He admits that his mom butts into his situations a bit too much. But he loves Vanessa and wants to be with Vanessa. And he announces to everyone that they got married in secret. They eloped on a road trip to Reno, Nevada. They got married in a chapel by the river, and it was just the two of them. He didn't tell anybody. Hey, Crystal. Hey, I just told everyone that you were in Hawaii. Aloha. Aloha. So he felt like he was going to do that just so that him and Vanessa had something that was just theirs and was just about them. And he won the respect of Jess and Brian. Brian's like, this is the first time that I've ever respected you because you did something outside of your mama. And Debbie didn't know. She found out on the tell-all. She congratulates them. She walks over and hugs them. She's absolutely okay with it. And, you know, she's happy. She's happy that he's happy. And she mentions how she eloped with her late husband as well. And so through all of that, through all the happy congratulations, glad you got married, it was so great. Jess and Deb call a peace, a truce. They hug it out. And they're like, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane. We won't talk shit about each other anymore. We won't cuss out each other anymore. You live your life happy, I'll live my life happy. Cool. And what I thought was great about Jess, too, is that Jess also congratulated Colt and Vanessa. She got up, walked over, dragged her husband over to make peace with them as well, give them hugs. And Vanessa at first was like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't want to do this. But she did it. And so now there's peace. There's like a peace accord between Colt and Vanessa, Jess and Brian, and then Debbie, which I think was important. I think for Jess, all she needed was that closure. She needed to let everyone know that it was not cool to be lying to her face when she knew what the truth was. It was not cool to make her seem like she was the crazy ex-girlfriend when she knew what the truth was. And she didn't appreciate the fact that she lives by the girl code, and Debbie and Vanessa seemed to have not, and they were supporting this liar cheater against her. And so I do think she had some valid points. And so I'm glad that they were all able to make peace. Crystal says Colty is less of a douche with Vanessa. Everyone's jealous of Crystal, who is in Hawaii right now, kicking it. Fernanda was up next. Fernanda is living a life in Miami. She loves it. She loves the people. She loves the fitness. She left Robbie in Chicago because she was not feeling him, and she was feeling like in a rut in Chicago. She needed to get like a spark back into her life. And then they brought Robbie on, and they haven't seen each other since she left Chicago. And he said that he was caught off guard by their breakup, and he thinks that Fernanda had mixed signals in herself because she didn't know what she wanted in herself and with her life and all of that stuff. And he says that he took a wrong approach to her. So that boat scene that we saw where he was super aggressive and like over the top with it, he realizes himself that he looked aggressive and that he handled that situation totally wrong. And for Fernanda, it reminded her of fights that she would have with Jonathan. So it just wasn't for her. So, you know, Robbie says that in that moment, he knew that it was not going to work with them. However, he did. I remember y'all went to dinner and you were shocked that she broke up with you and you were really feeling her. So I don't know if you actually really knew in that moment. But I think you would like, if she didn't leave, you would still be trying to make it work with her. And Claire says Fernanda and Robbie had chemistry. They did, but I think that Fernanda and her new guy Noel have really good chemistry too. And I think that Noel is a good match for her, because here's what I thought was interesting. So we know Noel as the roommate. He's a boxer. He's 30. She was attracted to him from the very, very beginning. We find out in the tell-all, which we didn't know, because in the show, they say that her old trainer was friends with him and said that he was looking for a roommate. But what we actually find out in the tell-all is that Fernanda had met him before at a gym in Miami. And Fernanda's the one that came up to Noel and asked him if he was looking for a roommate. And he wasn't considering a roommate because he had always lived by himself. But, this hot girl is asking, do you want a roommate? Okay. Right. So that's the real story. So I thought that was interesting that came out. And then we find out that they're more than roommates now. They're in a relationship together and they're dating, and they've been Instagram official forever, right? And she's really, really happy with them. She says that this is like the best relationship she's ever been in. And we find out that one night they went to dinner. They shared 4 bottles, you guys. When she said 4 bottles, I was like, 4 bottles of wine? 4 bottles? Yeah, you guys became a couple after that. So that's the night they moved from just roommates to more. Yeah. I have an active imagination, so I can only imagine what that looked like. Hilarious. So they're a couple now. She says that Noel is her exact opposite. He's calm, he's patient, he's down to earth, and he really kind of balances her out. Robbie and her, she thinks, are very similar personalities. They're like hotheads. And so that's why they had such friction. And then Sean asks about any issues of jealousy. And then Fernanda tries to tell us, the viewers who have watched her for years, that she doesn't have issues with jealousy. She's not really a jealous person. I was looking around my apartment like, who is she trying to fool? And then Noelle was like, yeah, she likes to be in control of things. And then Robbie backs that up. And I'm like, yeah, Fernanda, this is not a good look. Like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but we remember all the things, okay? We remember you with Jonathan, you freaking out, him being at the bar, you like throwing drinks, you screaming, you taking off, all the stuff. You have not only anger issues, you also have jealousy issues, and like you're possessive of what you think is yours. So you can't come sit here on a tell-all and say that you've never been the jealous type, because that's not true. Noelle says sometimes she acts crazy, and he gets it because she's a passionate person, but she has a short temper, and she admits it. She says that she does have a temper, but she's been trying to work on that. And Sean says, what would happen if, he's training someone at the gym and it's like a beautiful girl, and Fernanda's like, he would never do that. Okay, but what if it happened, Fernanda? If you're not jealous, then it shouldn't be an issue, right? If you have not a jealous bone in your body, then you would care less. But for you to tell us that that would never happen tells me that you're 100% a jealous person. So say what you must. Then Ed and Liz, we're back to them. Ed says behind the scenes to Liz, he's trying to figure out why they broke up. And she says, we broke up because we drank too much and we fought all the time. And that you dropped my shit off and blocked me. And then you went to Vegas and you flaunted your sugar babies and all that stuff. Then he says that he didn't expect to fall in love with her. Do you see how this man manipulates situations? Do you see it? Because I need him to watch the season that we watched. You not only actively pursued this woman that was minding her own business, being a server at a restaurant, you fucking stalked her for like 2 months. You would go to her restaurant and sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. And then finally you felt that you had enough courage to ask her out at her job. Okay. So don't tell me that you didn't think that you were going to fall in love with it, because you're the same person that was warp speed ahead, that you needed to introduce her to your daughter, to your mama. You had to fly her here. She had to go to a wedding with you immediately. And then you said that she had to be your girlfriend because people would wonder what the relationship was at the wedding. And then you pushed her to move in with you, all the things. So don't turn around and say that you didn't expect to fall in love with her. That your plan was to possess this young girl, to have her by your side, to make you feel better about yourself and what you do. Period. Okay? Period. And the reason that you literally go after young girls is because you feel like you have something over them. And what do you have over them? Well, yeah, you're 56, so you have age over them, but you also are more established in your lives. And I can't get out of my mind what his daughter said. His own daughter, Tiffany, said that he goes after young females that are single moms. I need y'all to think about that. So the 50 something who's closer to 60 than 50 is going after the 20 somethings that are closer to 20 than 30, who are single moms, maybe struggling to make ends meet, all the things. And he comes in like he's the big white savior, and it friggin' is driving me crazy. And if he wants to act like he is the victim here and he's in therapy to deal with his issues, I keep saying this, you can go to therapy all day long, but if you actually don't address what the real issues are, it's not going to do you any good. Okay. So for me, it's not only gaslighting, it's predatory behavior, and it's just not okay for me. And that's just an opinion. Definitely would love to know what you guys feel. But Liz feels better. She feels like she got the apologies that she deserved. She doesn't feel anger towards him anymore. She misses her best friend. And Ed then suggests that they should go to couples counseling. This was Ed. Ed suggested this. I need you guys to remember that as we move forward as well. Okay. Ed's the prize. Then we move on to Molly and Kelly. And this one has me torn too, right? So there she said in discovery mode, they're lovey-dovey, this whole tell-all. And the issue is still, she's gotten her tubes tied. She knows that it's going to be costly to have them removed or reversed. And even if they get reversed, there's no guarantee that she's going to be able to get pregnant. But they're looking for houses together. So they're looking to make their relationship even more serious. And Kelly talks about how Janet Jackson had a kid at 50. And then Molly says, but it wasn't her egg. And so you don't know if the egg and the. And Kelly says he's open to adoption. And then Sean says, well, are you okay with not having your own biological kid? And he says he goes back and forth. And guys, I talk about this all the time on my show. I tell you the 4 things that you must have that conversation before you get in a serious relationship. And you know that kids is one of it. And I got to tell you right now that there is no way that Kelly's going to be okay with not having a kid. It's the first and only thing that he says he wants in a relationship, period. So he can adopt 10 kids. He's still going to want to have his own kid. Okay. Molly has kids, so he can technically adopt Molly's kid if he so wanted to. That's not what he's asking, and that's not what he wants, and that's not what he needs. So what do? You go and buy a house together? You guys need to come to some type of conclusion or compromise, because I'm going to tell you right now that this person is going to absolutely resent you if they stay with you and they want a baby and you don't want a baby. It just doesn't work, you guys. And I know we've had this conversation back and forth. Some of you guys think it will work. It will not work. That's it. That's all. It will not work. And that's why people cheat sometimes, because they say, today I'm happy, but I'm 32, so I'm happy, cool. But you know what? Maybe by 37 or 38, I'm going to want a baby again, because I've always wanted a baby and I've just been on hold. Let's look at Michael. Michael's living in delusion land right now, thinking that he's going to take his sperm and freeze it and send it over to America. To whom? Skyla's not about to give you an egg. And Angela just had all this weight loss surgery and her boobies done, and it's getting more surgery. And she's closer to 60, which, you know, is not a thing, right? Because you can have babies with the help of doctors and technology and all of that nowadays. But Angela doesn't want a kid, period. Period. And you know what? Michael is going to resent her at some point, because he too, it's the only thing he said that he wanted in the relationship. So, then Molly says this interesting thing. She says, you know, is anybody out there that they can pay to have a baby by having sex with Kelly? And he says he's not going to have some baby with some random woman. And they talk about like their options. And again, you guys, I just feel like you got to be on the same page. Misha says, hi, y'all. It probably would have been best if that mystery child was in fact Kelly's kid. It would have been. I think that would have solved a lot of their problems, because then he knows at least that he has a kid out there, and he probably would develop a relationship with that kid. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with them. Kelly's brother, Mario, comes out. He thinks that, you know, Kelly and Molly are doing really well. They're very happy. It's the happiest that he's seen his brother. He's much more happy and jolly and kind. But he also does acknowledge that they're still in like that honeymoon phase, right? New relationships where everything is roses and shiny. But he does say the same thing. Kelly will regret not having his own biological child, period. And Kelly agrees with him, you guys. So Molly says, you know, I love him, but I also love him enough to let him go. And here's the thing. That's hard to do, but it's harder to do the deeper and longer you're in a relationship. So I guess we're going to find out what happens with these two and whether they continue to try to like make it work or if they part ways. We'll see. Then they bring in Louise, you guys. And Louise, everyone has an opinion of Louise. He says that people think he's the demon of their relationship. A lot of people hate him. They haven't seen each other in 3 years since he left and they got divorced. But he wanted to come on the tell-all to tell his side. He says that he got kicked out of the house. He didn't leave the house. And that he went to New Jersey to live with his brother. Molly starts laughing because she remembers that he called and wanted a copy of the divorce papers so that he could go and get married. And he got married 3 months after they got divorced. And according to Molly, he's no longer even with that woman. They're separated. And so when he's asked, are you still married? He says it's not your business. And then Kelly gets a little bit of an attitude. He's like, why are you, he turns to Molly and says to her, why are you even entertaining any of this? So I felt a little tinge of like jealousy on Kelly's part, because Kelly's like, I'm here, I'm the man, I'm her man now. We don't need to be talking to her ex-wife. Like a little bit of that going on. He says it wasn't, so Louise says it wasn't 3 months, it was 9 months later that he got married, that he didn't know this woman. He never cheated on Molly. And he doesn't want to give us the status of his relationship. He also doesn't want to give us the status on his immigration status. He says he didn't use Molly for a green card, but he doesn't want to talk furthermore about his immigration status. And if you guys remember, last year, there was a whole thing where he said on social media that he was being deported, and he had until September before he was being deported. What happened? Because he's still in America and he didn't get deported. So I don't know if he got some good lawyers. I don't know if he's like, I don't know what his immigration status is, but the last he said about it was that he was being deported, and then he didn't get deported. So I guess we'll find out. Then he has the audacity to say that Molly still follows him on social media. And after his segment is over, he thinks that Molly still has feelings for him because she follows him on social media. And then he has the audacity to go ahead and say that, you know, when you post a story on Instagram, you can see who watches your stories. He says that he sees that. Molly watches his stories and watches his life every day. I don't know if I believe that, y'all. But like, if Molly hasn't stopped following him, she should stop following him immediately, because in his mind, he thinks that she still wants to be with him. That's what he thinks in his mind, you guys. Just because she's following him on social media. She probably didn't even think twice about it. You know, maybe he blocked her, like she said, and then he unblocked her. So when you unblock someone, then they're still following you. And then and then she probably just thought she was still blocked. So she didn't think anything of it. And then now, all of a sudden, she's following him and she's watching his stories. Makes no sense to me. I wanted to, I guess, talk a little bit about this whole Ed thing and the scene of him freezing his sperm pre-vasectomy. I don't know if I'm going to get so into it because it just was unnecessary to me. I don't give a shit, Ed, if you froze your sperm. And I definitely didn't need to watch a video of you step by step telling the world that you're jerking off, and you show like the sample, you show how you're all sweaty and it was like all work for you, and dimming all the business. It just showed me more of who you were as a character. It showed me who you were. That's it. That's what it showed me. But we did find out that Liz actually went with him on that appointment, and she stayed in the car for 2 hours. First of all, you're not having me sit up in the car for 2 hours while you go and jerk off. That's not happening. Like, why did she even go with him? It made no sense to me. Like, she is diminishing her greatness in being in this relationship about Ed, because Ed doesn't allow her to be great, because Ed in his mind can be the only person that's great in the relationship. And then he needs someone else to like hype him up and continue to remind him how great he is. And that's what Liz does in this relationship. And it's sad for me because he definitely dims her light. So we also find out that Liz and Ed had a pregnancy scare. And the reason why he says he froze his sperm is because he wanted to still have the option to have a kid with Liz, because Liz didn't like the absolute that couldn't be an option. Even though she says she doesn't want more kids, she still wants that option to be on the table. So there's that. They talk about what's next for them, and Ed starts crying again. And every time he cries, I think about the interviews I've done with him, where he can make crocodile tears come in a heartbeat. It's part of his whole shtick to make people feel like he's the victim, he's a good guy, and he has feelings. So he starts crying again, and he talks about how he's in therapy and he's learning so much about himself. And his issues are holding him back from finding love. Liz says that she still loves him and wants to be with him. And Sean asks him, so do you want to be with her? Yes or no? He doesn't answer directly. He says, I was always the one that broke up with you 7 times. Then Liz says she's willing to give it another shot. He says nothing. Silence. Then he says, The only thing that's giving him pause is that, you know, it's going to take more than 1 to 3 therapy sessions for them to like get on the same page. Fernanda's face, Molly's face, Colt's face, Vanessa's face. We were all feeling what they were, those facial looks where they were not impressed. We were all feeling the same thing. Fernanda says, you know, Liz is not the problem in this relationship at all. You are. And Ed takes offense. He's like, it takes 2 in a relationship. No, you're not serious. You're not ready to be in a serious relationship. You're just saying it to be pictured a certain way. And if I tell you guys that Fernanda didn't hit that nail right on the head, let me tell you that again. You're just saying these things to be pictured a certain way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hallelujah is what I wanted to scream, because that's exactly what's going on here. Manipulating everyone, including the audience, to come across a specific way. And I'm going to go out on a limb, you guys, and say this, okay? He uses the fact that he's different to also garner empathy to himself, but then he turns around and manipulates people in order to get what he wants. Listen, when Colt said the gig is up, that's it. Your gig is up. Like, if y'all didn't see all the things on this tell-all and then go back in the leaked tapes and all the interviews that he's done in the past where he's doing the same crying thing, he's always the victim and the woman's always the person in the wrong. And even though he cheated, he's the one that's hurt. And even though he's the one that broke up 7 times and kicked her out and cussed her out, he's the one that's hurt. If that is not gaslighting to a T, if that's not manipulation to a T, if that is not a narcissist attitude to a T, I don't know what is. So then Colt says, you know, why bother? You're not even willing to give up these sugar babies that you have. Are you willing to give them up for a relationship with Liz? What does he do? Not answer. Ed doesn't say anything. Then Fernanda's like, you know what? I hate to say this, but Liz, I like you. I want to give you a heads up. He came to me behind the scenes to say hi to my roommate, saying that she's really pretty. We even saw in the same tell-all that he tried to say that Fernanda was really pretty and he wanted to get with her. But meanwhile, you still love Liz and want to be with Liz, and you love Liz and you want to make it work. I personally think that you just want the attention of any young girl because it makes you feel good about yourself, and that you manipulate that situation. Crystal says, and also going back to the phone call to watching this tell-all, he can't say anything. He can't, you guys. He has outed himself. He's outed himself on his true nature and true character. And just, I'm going to say it again because Fernanda nailed it. He's saying it to be pictured a certain way. He does a lot of things to be pictured a certain way, so people take him a certain way. But behind the scenes and in real life, it's a completely different story. So then when everyone finds out that he was trying to hit on when everyone finds out that he was trying to hit on Fernanda's roommate, who's 26, by the way, Liz, what does she do? She's like, okays it. She's like, he's single now. It's okay. He could do what he wants. I was like, oh, he's really got you fucked up. Like, in your mind, you think he's the prize. And in your mind, you think you love him. He's conditioned you to believe that he's the prize, when really you're the prize. And she needs to love herself and realize that he is dimming her light, and that he should be lucky that she actually even gave him the time of day. Because let's be real here. They are not in the same caliber. They're not. Ed just happens to be on TV, period. Hey, Black Shelly. Hey, girl. Hey. Fernanda says another word of wisdom. She says, don't project on other people. Your you have your own issues. So when he's called out on the things that he's done and said and trying to pick up on her roommate, trying to pick up on her, and then trying to like get back with Liz, but not really get back with Liz. Fernanda's like, don't project on other people. Your own daughter calls you out, and your own mama calls you out, and now your ex-woman is calling you out. Like, you need to own your shit, she says. And then she says, and then he's like, oh, well, I'm in therapy. And then she's like, well, 3 sessions means nothing. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, in 6 months. And listen, 6 months of therapy is not going to be enough of your 54 years of bullshit. It's not. And if you think that 6 months is going to be enough to correct your issues when really you're not addressing what the deep-seated issues are, then you're sadly mistaken, okay? So he says that he wants to, A, quit alcohol, B, go to church with Liz, and that's going to make their relationship better. I've personally seen his social media, you guys. He has not quit drinking, just like Angela has not quit smoking. Is lip service. Lip service, because again, you want to appear a certain way, so you're going to put lip service to it, but in reality, your actions and words are 2 separate things. And we are all told that words are powerful, but they're only words. You need to back them up with action, and I've yet to see that. That was the tell-all, y'all. It was, listen, yes, TG, too hot for TV. There was a lot going on. I was here for it, but I'm also glad that this season's over. And, you know, I want to say that we're not going to see Big Ed anymore, but you guys, I already confirmed that he will be on the 2nd season of Single Life. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. We are going to see Ed back. We're going to see Molly back. We are going to see Natalie on the Single Life. So this next season is about to be even more of a hot mess. And I'm going to be right there watching because I'm all in. It's 90 days. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, and I will see all my Patreon subscribers for news and gossip tomorrow. And listen, we took last week off, so that means this week is a doozy, y'all. A doozy. We're going to talk about all things Angela. I have some updates with Devin. I have some birthdays. I have a ton. I have just a ton of news and gossip. Patty says, I hope you cover Love in Paradise again. Yeah, we're covering the whole season, Patty. We cover the whole season. So every week we will be covering it until the season's over. Yeah, so we do, just so you guys know, we do Love in Paradise. We do Happily Ever After. We do Single Life. We do Darcy and Stacy. We do a premium news and gossip. We do Love After Lockup. So a lot of new shows. And like I told you at the top of the show, I have this huge thing I'm sitting on that I've been working on feverishly for you guys. And I can't wait till I can tell you about it. And so until then, you guys, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.